Hey yo, welcome back to the channel. We sit in the dark, but we know the light. Let's get it. Enlighten one.
7 things in life you need to understand. If past lovers can remain just friends, it's either they are still in love or they never were. The people who get upset with each other over the stupidest things are usually the ones who care the most. If a person always tries to help and support others, it's likely that no one can imagine how often they themselves need help and support. 4. Many people lose out on good relationships because they listen to a friend's toxic advice. 5. True love is when someone appreciates you for who you are. Fake love is when someone tries to change you into their perfect ideal. The most difficult battles are often fought within ourselves. Happiness is not found in the pursuit of perfection, but in the acceptance of imperfection.
The Supreme Court ruled in 1873 that you have 2 citizenships. Nobody taught you what that means, and it changes everything. You are a citizen of your state, and you are a citizen of the United States. Those are not the same thing. They never were. And the Supreme Court said so 150 years ago. The case is called the Slaughterhouse Cases. 1873, the court ruled that state citizenship carries your fundamental rights: life, liberty, property, the pursuit of happiness. Federal citizenship carries something narrower, something different. Most people have never heard this. Follow. Because part 1 is the case itself and what it actually says about who controls your rights.
If you're not a U.S. citizen, you should not leave the United States. Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. I'm shooting this video in mid-March 2025, and I'm here to tell you that we've been seeing stories left and right of people who have valid immigration status not being allowed back into the United States. And it's sort of scary. We saw just this last week a green card holder get deported, a lady who had a pending green card case who flew back from Puerto Rico get deported. We saw the actress from Canada who had the TN visa, went to the border to get a visa renewal and was not only denied her visa, but she was also taken into custody and detained for 10 days around the southern border before she was sent back to Canada. So these are unusual times that we are in. These are the frontal attacks by Customs and Border Protection on immigrants at the border that we're going to see more and more of, and we're getting more and more news stories of. Now, historically, there have always been people who get refused at the border, right? But what we're seeing is the legal immigrants having their rights taken away, being detained, being forced to try to waive those rights, and being asked to surrender their green cards at the border. So if you are a green card holder, if you are an H-1B visa holder, if you are a student and you are in the United States, anybody who is not a U.S. citizen should not leave the United States. We're giving it until the end of the year, until we can see how litigation impacts this, how changes and things that happen at the border. We're going to keep track of what's going on a sort of a case-by-case basis. But at the end of the day, no one can guarantee that you will be allowed back into the United States if you are a green card holder or if you are a visa holder. There's no right, as Marco Rubio famously said last week, to a visa in the United States, and there's certainly no right to enter the United States. And nowhere does the president have more authority, that the executive branch has the power in regulating who comes into the United States. That is their supreme power. That's one of the strongest things he has. That's the basis of the prior Muslim bans, the travel ban that's coming. The president and the executive branch have a ton of discretion as to who they let into the United States and what they make you do to get into the United States. So what this means is, as always, let's say there's a small chance of you not being allowed back into the United States. What we're telling people is, if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you can't afford to be stuck outside the United States for 6, 9, or 12 months or longer, then you should not leave the United States. There's an invisible wall coming up around the United States, and you may view it as a jail if you're stuck here in the United States. But people call me all the time, Jim, can I go for visa stamping? Jim, I have advanced parole. Jim, I have a refugee travel document. Jim, I have a reentry permit. Is it okay for me to leave the United States? What I am telling people as an immigration lawyer who's been practicing law for 25 years and immigration since 2008, that unless you can afford to get stuck outside of here, you should not leave the United States unless you're a U.S. citizen. You make your own decision. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that no one can guarantee that you're going to be allowed back into the United States if you leave, unless you're a U.S. citizen. And I believe even U.S. citizens are going to start getting more scrutiny. If I travel overseas, I'm not bringing my phone with me. There's all kinds of things that are going on at the border right now. You really need to be careful. You really need to be worried. And I'm not trying to scare people. Really, I'm not. I'm trying to educate people so that you make a good decision and hopefully decide not to leave the United States until you get your citizenship. I know it's mind-boggling, but that's all I can really say. If you have a case that you want to file with USCIS or
You mean the passport where you claim to be an employee of the United States, where that makes you the collateral and surety, the guarantor of the debt of a defunct nation, that the creditors like Johnson & Johnson and, the different pharmaceutical companies are coming after their patented property and the people that are in the bankruptcy, and they will be chipping and marking them soon. Well, as a state citizen, you're the creditor. You're no longer the debtor. You're no longer making allegiance to the corporation. You're no longer saying, I want to be an employee of the corporation. You're saying, I quit. And so absolutely, it's 100% benefit is to the latter of being the state citizen, where you are in fact not under the jurisdiction of the United States. And trust me, guys, jurisdiction of the United States is by far the worst place to be in. And so why do you want to be a state citizen? Because you'll be one of the creditors, but you'll also be free under God, because that's what a state of the Union citizen is: a body of people making allegiance, saying God is our king. That's all it is. But when you're making allegiance to the Declaration, which nobody does as a United States citizen, but you do when you go through our state citizenship process, and you understand what that word state means, lowercase in Black's Law, that means body of people becoming, having allegiance to each other, to their state, California, people that are bound under the Declaration of Independence. Remember, the Declaration of Independence says this on the title: these several states. Okay, so when you understand united, lowercase on the top, the title of the Declaration of Independence, states, capitalized, noun, united, adjective, lowercase on the title, and you understand that the states are the people, and we're just uniting publicly on this document, agreeing on this trust indenture, saying we are children of God.
Most Americans know that if you're born on U.S. soil, you automatically become an American citizen. It's one of the most basic rules people learn about America. But there's one place under the U.S. flag where that rule mysteriously breaks, and almost nobody talks about it. That place is American Samoa. It's home to about 45,000 people, and if you're born there, you're not a U.S. citizen. You're labeled a U.S. national. Sounds similar, right? It's not. Nationals can live and work anywhere in the United States and even carry a U.S. passport, but they can't vote for president, they can't hold many public offices, and they're locked out of certain federal jobs. Basically, you can be American enough to pay taxes and serve, but not American enough to have full rights. So why would the U.S. allow this? And why hasn't it been fixed? Here's the twist. Many American Samoans actually want it this way, because their unique legal status keeps parts of the U.S. Constitution from fully applying there, which helps protect Samoan traditions, especially land ownership and cultural rules that could be threatened by outside federal laws. Some fear that automatic citizenship wouldn't just grant rights, it would open the door to Washington taking more control. So American Samoa remains the only place where being born on American territory doesn't fully make you American, and the people there may be protecting something far bigger than citizenship.
Oh, you can't find this in the store. Not this, baby. This right here. This is customized. You better get like me.
The first 7 articles is the Constitution of the United States. That's the organic Constitution. The Bill of Rights are not part of the original Constitution. Bill of Rights were added to bring in foreigners so they can set up shop and conduct business as well. So the 12th Amendment on to the 27th Amendment, that is an administrative government. So when you hear them say that certain people are citizens of the U.S., that's a different United States, family. That is not the same Constitution or citizenship that the prophet was mentioning when he said that we are citizens of the United States of America. Being a citizen of the United States of America is not the same as being a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen falls up under amendments. That's an amendment citizen under the 14th Amendment. Go to Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5, and you will see Constitution and its citizenship of who it pertains to. So the citizens that the prophet is speaking of, when he say Moorish Americans, those would be citizens of the several states. So under the several states, for example, I reside in North Carolina, originally from New York, but I now reside in North Carolina. Therefore, I will use the Constitution of North Carolina. 2, because it's a contract that regulates government and its agencies. That's what a Constitution is. Constitution of the United States of America, again, it's a contract that regulates government and its agencies. You and I all had rights before the Constitution was written. We already had constitutional rights.
The key to freedom is knowledge. God says, my people perish or they are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. If you don't know anything and you teach your children what you know, then your children is as smart as you. No matter how many books you bought, you only know the ones you read. Buying information doesn't give you revelation.
And in Cruden versus Neal, they even say this: every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow man without his consent. So, if somebody makes a bunch of rules and says, hey, you have to follow my rules, no, actually you don't. You don't have to follow anybody else's rules unless you consent to following those rules.
Listen to me very carefully. By age 25, you should be old enough to realize this. Most people never understand number 6 until they're 40. Number 1, life is 100% better when no one knows anything about you. 2, you shouldn't take advice from people who are not where you want to be in life. So 3, everyone will show you who they are, just give them time. 4, you need to be smart enough to create your own opportunities. Don't wait for them to come to you. 5, the secret of happiness is freedom. The secret of freedom is courage. So in life, you must take action if you want to experience freedom. Lastly, 6, you will always have some sort of conflict. You must learn to enjoy life while still solving them. And there is beauty in everything we experience. You just need to adjust your perception. You can either cry in the storm or dance in the rain.
What most people do is they spend what they earn. I'm bringing in $3,000 a month and I'm only spending $3,000 a month. What's the problem? Well, it's a lie, because if you want to achieve financial freedom and independence, every wealthy person, whether it was Warren Buffett, and back in the old days, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, J.D. Rockefeller, Henry Ford, all the rich guys back then. But even the wealthy guys today, look at Shark Tank and look at O'Leary and all these wonderful guys, Elon Musk, Bezos. All right, forget the billionaires. Just look at the people that have $1, $2, $3 million net worths and ask them in survey, did you live within your means as you're working your way up to financial freedom and independence? They all say, no, of course not. We lived below our means. The biggest lie is live within your means. Now, even with that lie, what most people do is they actually spend more money than they make by using their credit cards and by financing things on terms. So they use their credit card because they can't afford to buy this item for $600. So they use their credit card and they buy it, and then they think, well, I can afford the monthly payments. You're going to stay broke that way. Wealthy people live below their means. That means they spend a lot less each month than they actually bring in. So after taxes and everything, your net income whatever that is, 2,000 a month, 3,000 a month, 4,000 a month, whatever it is, 5,000 a month, whatever it is after taxes, your paycheck. When you deposit that, each month you have to spend less, at least 30% less than what you're bringing in. And some of you are thinking, how can you do that? Kevin, prices are too high. Things cost too much. I was going to curse, but I won't. No, you spend too much. You have to live below your means. Period. And if you can't pay cash for something, with the exception of a car or a house, if you can't pay cash for something, that means you can't afford it. Start saving.
And unless you understand this, you're never going to figure out what's going on. Words and terms are based on maritime admiralty, the law of water. So that's why when you go into a court, you have a fence and a gate. The people sit out here and the judge sits inside. The gate is called a floodgate. When you go through the canal, you have a floodgate.
Right.
So when you're sitting out here, you're in the law of the land. The judge has no control or no jurisdiction over the people sitting out here. No jurisdiction whatsoever.
Right, because they're outside the gate.
That's outside the gate. That's on land. But when you walk past that gate, now you're in hot water. And someone's going to have to bail you out.
Bail, yeah.
Okay?
Bail.
But it's fascinating for you to understand how pervasive this concept of water is on the earth.
Wow.
The law of water, maritime admiralty, it's an extraordinary story about how governments rule the world. And unless you understand this, you're never going to figure out what's going on. Look at it. When you walk into a courtroom and they call your name, you get up and you put your hand on the gate and you open the gate. The moment you put your hand on the gate, by international law, you of your own volition have opened yourself up to maritime admiralty law, because you were on the law of the land. As long as you don't touch that gate and go through it, you haven't opened the floodgate. Now once you open the floodgate, there's a piece of wood on top of that gate, and it's called the bar, and you're not licensed to pass the bar. So what you've done is you've opened the floodgate, but you weren't licensed to pass the bar. You are now dead. Once you touch that, you're dead. Well, you're considered to be a dead man. That's why the attorney has to speak for you. He has to represent you.
Why are you dead? Because
you went into the deep water and you died. You drowned. You were not licensed to pass the bar. And the bar represents a sandbar in the ocean. But the bar is what the attorneys are licensed to pass, but you're not. So the point being is that when you open that gate of your own volition, you are considered by law to be a dead man.
Really?
That's why you cannot talk to the judge, because dead people don't talk to judges. So you'll need an attorney who is your mouthpiece. He speaks for you because you're dead.
Well, should we do away with courts so people can get their lives back?
What you want to do is understand how the system works.
And avoid it.
Avoid it if you can.
The truth is hidden in plain sight, and this is how they hide everything. If you are looking for the knowledge that has been hidden from us, if you want to know the meaning behind these symbols, if you want to know who controls the world, this ebook will literally unveil that to you, and ye shall know the truth, and truth shall set you free.
The move the FBI never teaches to the public, but you're about to learn it. When you're talking to someone, stop moving completely. No blinking, no shifting, no adjusting your body. Just freeze. People crumble in stillness. Their eyes twitch, their shoulders tighten, or they shift their weight without realizing it. That tiny reaction, it reveals instantly who feels smaller in the moment. But if you break the stillness first, you're the one giving up the upper hand. Try this once, and you'll never look at conversations the same. Comment "still" if you want part 2. And the techniques the FBI doesn't teach publicly? They're not here, but they're where the observant always look first. Check my bio.
things they don't
Let
want
me tell you
US to know.
something. I'm going to give you
The secret of the world.
48 years of study. I'm going to give you a secret. Nothing in this world is what you think it is. Nothing operates the way you think it does.
What do you mean?
Nothing operates the way you think it does.
What do you mean?
Government does not work the way you think it does.
It's not about people voting for a president.
No, it has nothing to do with that. We're talking money. We're talking control, corporations, big business, period.
It's all big business and money.
Period.
Yeah.
End of sentence. Now, religion is a corporation. It's all the religions of the Western world, especially in the Western world, all religions operate under maritime admiralty law. So there are certain...
What do you mean maritime admiralty law?
Maritime admiralty is the law of water. And I've talked a lot about this in the past. I'm going to talk a lot about it in the future.
Okay.
There are only two things on the earth, on this earth, land and water.
Right.
So there are two kinds of law, the law of the land and the law of water. The law of the land is the custom of the people who live on a particular piece of land. So the law of the land is different in every country.
Right.
I mean, you can do things in Russia you can't do in America.
Right.
You can do things in South Africa you can't do in China because it's the law of the land. That particular piece of land has their own custom. So the custom of the people living on a particular piece of land is called the law of the land.
Okay, got it.
But there is also a larger, far more important law on the earth. It's called the law of the sea, the law of the water. And when you get into, and then that law is referred to in courts as maritime admiralty. Maritime admiralty is the law of water. Once you understand the law of water, it opens up a world of occult hidden symbols and hidden foundations on how we live.
What are some of those laws that we're not aware of?
Oh my goodness! When you walk into a courtroom, why do you go to court? You play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court.
Right.
Yeah. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. And so the judge walks out. He rules from the bench. Right. Look it up in a Latin dictionary. The word bench is a bank in Latin. And so the judge is ruling for the bank. That's why he wears a black robe, because the black robe represents the planet Saturn, the god of banking and law. Let me give you an example of how this works. When a ship pulls into harbor, the captain has to provide a certificate of manifest. So each one of those items coming off of that ship has come off of water, and all ships have a captain. The word captain comes from a Latin word capital, money. So the captain represents the money that's on board the ship. Wherever a ship sits when it docks is called its berth. Now, when you were born, your mother's water broke. And when your mother's water broke, you came out. And this is why you have to have a birth certificate, because you are a maritime admiralty product under international law. Your mother delivered you. This is why if you buy a refrigerator, they will ship it to you. And that's why you were in your delivery room. Your mother was delivering a product. Maritime admiralty, you came down your mother's birth canal. The dock has to sign your birth certificate. All religions in the world operate under maritime law. This is why all churches are divided into denominations, like 20s and 50s and 100s. All of these words and terms are maritime admiralty banking words, and therefore lawyers and judges and courts and government are all under international maritime admiralty law.
You could be under Maritime Law Part 3. Ever wonder why the judge wears a black robe? Why courts have a dock? Why you plead and appear, like you're on trial before a higher power? It's not just theater, it's maritime law, the law of the sea. And you are being treated like a vessel. This goes back to ancient commerce. Goods were shipped across water. They passed through ports with manifests and customs control. Everything was tracked, including the value of the cargo. Now look again. When you're born, your mother's waters break and you're delivered through the birth canal like cargo. You arrive at the dock, the doctor signs the delivery papers. They issue a birth certificate, and boom, you've just been registered as a vessel under maritime law. They even call it berthing, like a ship at a dock. That's why in court you stand in the dock just like a ship under trial. The judge acts as a captain. Your lawyer is your representative, not you. And if you don't challenge jurisdiction, they assume you've volunteered to be governed by maritime law. Everything in the system treats you not as a living soul, but as cargo, property, a commercial asset. It's why countries are called corporations, why your name is in all caps, why everything is based on commerce and control. You think you're free, but in their system, you're just another vessel floating through contracts, unless you wake up. Stay tuned for part 4 when we explore how to reclaim our sovereignty. Follow for more microdoses.
When you look up in a law dictionary, look up the word, people say, well, they can't do this to me, I'm a human being. You know what a human being means in law?
What does a human being mean in law?
Read it.
See monster. Monster, a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal.
That's right. So if you're a human being by law, you're an animal. You cannot own property because you are a monster. You are a human being. And that's why, according to British law, when you're talking about a man or woman which are sovereign, the word in law in England is you say he is a man on the land or a woman on the land. If you're sovereign, if you're important in England, you are referred to as a man or a woman. And if you have offspring, they're called children. So a man and a woman is the term given to people who are of importance, who are royalty, who are sovereigns. But if you're not, if you are just a poor working class, then you are referred to as male or female, not man or woman. You're not a man, you're a human being. Therefore, you are a male or female. And look it up in the dictionary. Male and female are terms that are used around the world for animals. An animal is a male or female. It's not a man, it's an animal. So that's why on your driver's license, on your ID, it's male or female, because you are considered by law to be an animal. They own you. You need to wake up and understand that the reason why Americans know they don't have any power to do anything. I mean, we can elect our presidents, but you can't select your president. You can only elect the thugs that they give you. So the corporation called United States Corporation, once a year, since it's now a public, it's now dealing with the public since 1871, corporate law says that they have to have a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. It also, the corporate law says that if you're dealing with the public, which is now a public corporation, that once a year you have to have a stockholders meeting. And so if you can't be there because you're a stock. I mean, if you get married and you're marrying a wealthy girl, we say, well, she's of good stock. What are you doing, marrying a cow? No, that's a term that we use. He's of good stock, meaning that you are an animal, but you're a little bit higher class animal. You're still an animal. You need to understand how words work, how government works, how society operates. It's an extraordinary story of betrayal. Betrayal. The people of America have not been told. They have been lied to and deceived, and that's why they're losing their homes, they're losing their jobs, they're losing their country, they're losing their freedom, and now they're just losing their minds. Why? Because the people realize they have no power, because knowledge is power, and unless you understand how this thing we call America really works, then you're going nowhere. And I'm telling you, nothing works the way you think it does. Nothing.
The truth is hidden in plain sight, and this is how they hide everything. If you are looking for the knowledge that has been hidden from us, if you want to know the meaning behind these symbols, if you want to know who controls the world, this ebook will literally unveil that to you, and ye shall know the truth, and truth shall set you free.
So you do a bankruptcy. Chapter 7, just wipe it all out. Guess what? They don't wipe it out. They send it up to the wholesale bank. And then that wholesale bank sends it to the Federal Reserve where your money is, and they deduct it. Now, bank is a special thing. Why? It's not designed to fail. First of all, hold your head up. Don't ever walk in a bank say that, please, sir, I hope you can give me some money, sir. Please give me some money. No, that's your own money you borrowed, because you're a corporation. You're not designed to fail, but it's not meant for you to understand how to not fail.
The system will tell you, you have to work, you have to be an employee. When you realize, as we are here in Geneva, that the way to make money, the way to liberate yourself, isn't through the ways of the system. It's not through a 9-to-5. It's through self-development. It's through the understanding of the game. It's understanding how the system works and understanding how to exploit the system to your advantage, because there's loopholes that were created intentionally by people that created the rules of the system that you abide by. So ladies and gentlemen, if failure was not an option and you couldn't fail and money wasn't an obstacle and money wasn't real, what would you do? Who would you become? What would be bred out of that desire for greatness?
The indictment from the grand jury. The grand jury decided Carmelo would be charged with murder. Who's on the grand jury, Loon? You don't know. It's a secret. I want you to see how white supremacy operates behind the scenes. You can't challenge the grand jury, Loon, because you don't even know who they are.
Right.
So the people who decided this 17-year-old would be charged with murder are complete secrets. And you and I both know they all white. Are you with me? So first, deal with the grand jury. Him being charged with murder was a crime in and of itself.
So what do you say about the event?
Let me give you one more. You're moving too fast. Hold on. In Texas, if you're 17, you're automatically tried as an adult. Grand jury had no control over that. Are you with me?
Yes.
He was 17. He's automatically tried as an adult, but he doesn't automatically have to be indicted with murder. That could have been aggravated, right? Manslaughter.
Right.
There's a whole list of crimes that could have.
Sometimes I wish I never found out, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's the question that nobody thinks to ask. Who handed themselves the power to define God for the entire world? See, most people have no idea that in 325 AD, a group of men gathered behind locked doors. And they weren't spiritual visionaries, and they weren't mystics. They weren't channeling divine truth. They were politicians in robes. Their goal wasn't enlightenment, it was control and consistency. Well, they debated like a senate. They traded favors, they argued over whose teachings were useful and which ones threatened their authority. Then they voted on which version of God humanity was allowed to believe in. Anything that empowered the individual, gone. Anything that encouraged personal connection to the divine, cut. Anything that didn't fit their narrative, erased. And here's the part that flips everything. In Old English, the word spell simply meant a story spoken out loud. So when this council decided which stories stayed and which stories vanished, they were choosing the spell that would shape human consciousness for centuries. Spell is just a story repeated until people forget that there was ever another version. And once you believe the spell, it becomes the lens that you see your entire life through, a lens someone else crafted. So let's go back to the first question. Who decided what God is? Not the universe, not the divine, a council of men. And humanity has been living inside their story ever since. The spells shatter the moment you remember who you were before someone told you who to be. If you feel the call to create but you don't want to sell out or chase trends, I teach just that inside Conscious Content Creator. It's for all voices and all niches. Link is in the bio. For more content like this, you guys know what to do. Peace, light, and love.
What if I told you most of the internet isn't real, and that we've been talking to AI for years without knowing it? The dead internet theory claims that since the early 2010s, human voices online have been quietly replaced by bots and AI. Repeating comments, soulless reviews, and endless recycled content. Some say it's proof the web is more machine than human. Believers argue it's not just random spam, but a system designed to control what we see, think, and believe. And now, with advanced AI writing news, books, and even conversations, many wonder if the dead internet theory was right all along. If true, the internet we use every day isn't alive at all. It's a ghost of human voices, buried under code. So are we really living in the digital age? Or just trapped inside a machine's illusion of reality?
Code X-Files.
I'm about to expose what the elites are doing with the frequency technology to keep you in poverty consciousness. They're doing this right now and most people have no idea. The elites understand that consciousness operates on a frequency and they've engineered a society to keep you vibrating at a fear frequency 24/7. News cycles designed to trigger cortisol and adrenaline, financial systems that create constant survival stress, social media algorithms feeding you content that keeps you in comparison and inadequacy loops. This isn't accidental. When you're vibrating at a fear frequency, you cannot access the manifestation bandwidth. You are literally locked out of abundance consciousness because your receiver is tuned to the poverty station. The ancients knew this. That's why every spiritual tradition teaches meditation and frequency optimization. They were teaching you how to escape the control frequency. If you want to manifest abundance, you first have to recognize the deliberate frequency manipulation and actively shift your vibration above it. This is the real revolution, frequency sovereignty.
What if I told you you've been lied to your whole life? That the system is designed to keep you from discovering who you really are. Since you were born, you've been filled with fear, limits, and distractions. Why? To extinguish your power. But there's one thing they can't control: your will. Your soul is screaming to wake up. Do you hear it? You are more than a number, more than a bank account. You are pure creation. The universe responds to you when you decide to act. You're not weak, you're asleep. But if you made it this far, it's because you're ready. Get up, wake up.
8 crazy facts the government doesn't want you to know. Number 1, federal income tax was supposed to be temporary to fund World War I, but became permanent, and the IRS can't actually explain what law requires you to pay it. Number 2, the FBI had a secret program called COINTELPRO that illegally spied on and harassed civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr., for decades without warrants. Number 3, the government conducted illegal medical experiments on unsuspecting citizens for 20 years, including giving people LSD without their knowledge to study mind control. Number 4, Social Security numbers were never meant to be used as identification. They literally say not for identification on the original cards, but now you need them for everything. Number 5, the NSA collects and stores every phone call, text message, and internet search you make without a warrant through secret programs revealed by Edward Snowden. Number 6, the government can legally seize your property and money through civil forfeiture, even if you're never charged with a crime. They just have to suspect it's connected to illegal activity. Number 7, the government has admitted to covering up UFO sightings for 70 years and recently confirmed that unidentified aerial phenomena are real and unexplained. Number 8, there are secret courts called FISA courts that approve government surveillance requests in complete secrecy with no public oversight. They approve 99.97% of all requests.
The majority of headaches, remember, headaches, guys, remember this, there are no pain receptors in the brain. Brain surgery is painless, right? So the brain is not capable of sending a pain signal. So where does the signal come from? It comes from the covering of the brain called the dura. The dura hates two things. It hates being stretched and it hates being contracted. 85% of all the migraine sufferers that I've ever treated had a simple clinical deficiency in sodium. I have them drink salt water and their headaches go into permanent remission. Because we are not hydrated when we have water in our blood. We're hydrated when we have water in our tissues. And what determines whether or not water leaves the blood and enters the tissue is the sodium gradient. It's called osmosis. So if we actually restore the sodium gradient, that dura starts to relax and the pain goes away.
You were never free. The system doesn't need chains because the prison is already inside your mind. From birth, your path is scripted. School to train obedience, work to drain your best years, debt to keep you climbing forever. They call it freedom, but it's an illusion. A cycle of wake, work, pay, repeat, designed so you're too busy surviving to ever start living. And those who question it? Silenced, ridiculed, or erased. Because awareness is the one thing that threatens control. The truth is, the cage isn't around your body. It's inside your mind. built from fear, routines, and distractions you never chose. But the moment you see the illusion, the chains begin to crack. Awareness is the key they fear the most. So ask yourself, are you awake or still inside the prison?
Code X-Files.
The most dangerous thing about the Matrix is that there is a matrix inside the matrix. And every time you think you have escaped, you fall into another one. The first matrix you ever entered was your family. Every child is born pure, on the original frequency God created them with. But from day one, your family programs you with their beliefs, their fears, their limitations. The second matrix? School. They don't teach you real science. They teach you what serves the state, what keeps you obedient, what makes you a useful employee, not a free thinker. Because free thinkers are dangerous to systems built on control. The third matrix? Society. The collective consciousness that tells you what to want, what to wear, what to eat, what to believe. And when you try to escape, you immigrate to another country, only to enter a more complex matrix than the one you left. Television, social media, video games, global brands, pharmaceutical companies. All programmed, all designed, all serving the same hidden agenda. But here is what they fear most: a human being who understands the universal laws. Because the universal laws are the operating system of this universe, and your ignorance of them is what makes you easy to control. Your brain is not just a thinking organ. It is a battery, a transmitter, a receiver. And they know this, even if you don't. Understand the laws. Raise your frequency, and refuse to be their battery. Follow unlocked laws, because knowledge is the only real freedom.
Hey, what another amazing video. Look, you guys, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. The truth is out there. Do your own research, and you'll come to your own conclusion. I'm just putting it out there, so y'all got to come to your own conclusion. You know, the truth is out there, so let's get this video to a couple thousand likes and boom.